And a very happy Tuesday to you at 12:07 in the West. Talk Radio 790 KABC, The John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in the state of Texas.
John, file this one in something nobody asked for. Recalled Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price is starting a podcast.
Check out Pamela Price Unfiltered. I'm Pamela Price, your host, and that's where we get to correct the record.
Is her co-host Marshawn Lynch too?
Quite frankly.
Now, if she's hosting a podcast instead of a standard radio show, that means it's not governed by the FCC, correct?
That means she could say whatever she wants.
I haven't listened to 2 seconds of this podcast yet, but I bet you she swears like it's a Red Fox album.
I've been bibbed several times.
Oh, we've heard, baby.
It's going to sound like a loading dock.
Listen to her give this pitch one more time again. They haven't posted an episode yet. This is the teaser.
Check out Pamela Price Unfiltered. I'm Pamela Price, your host, and that's where we get to correct the record.
That reminds me of when OJ joined Twitter and he had some getting even to do.
I love the fact that someone's writing promos for her. Well, Soros just did buy Odyssey.
Maybe this will be on KNX on weekends.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, it's another day and yet another scandal for embattled Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. This time, the man that she appointed to head the city's response to the fires, the rebuilding efforts, famed developer Steve Soboroff, went in front of a crowd of school kids at Harvard Westlake School and said that the mayor lied to his face. The mayor told him that he would have money coming from some account to pay him to lead the effort to rebuild the city. And as it turns out, none of that money exists.
Soboroff said, quote, "This is one of the most expensive disasters in the history of America." And when he was at this crowd of Harvard Westlake alumni at an event that was held last week, he noted it's not uncommon for city consultants in situations like this to get paid low to mid 7 figures from the city. At the time, he was in talks with another undisclosed client that would have paid him up to $1 million. And by accepting the chief recovery officer role, he was going to miss out on that money. So Soboroff and Bass agreed he would take $500,000 for 90 days of work.
And she didn't have the money, but she promised it to him anyway.
I have the emails and texts saying everything is good. No, the contract is coming. Now am I getting a lot of I told you so's from some of the best lawyers in Los Angeles, he told the crowd of about 50 people. After getting the runaround for several weeks, he discovered that, in fact, there was no contract. And he added, then I found out they really didn't have the money.
Now, I am not an attorney, but if you put the details of a contract in an email, in writing, and both sides agree to it, and you were to take them to court if they were to default on it, couldn't you enforce that agreement?
That would be a fun one. Maybe we get Judge Judy involved to adjudicate that one. This coming from the Hollywood Reporter. When the story broke about his salary, the one that he says he was never going to receive anyway, Soboroff said at the event he had two choices: go public and quit and say I was lied to and here are my emails and here are my texts, or say I'll do it for free and hope that it comes around later on.
And he ended up saying that he would do it for free, but then the details about the mayor lying to him came out anyway, so now he has the worst of both worlds.
So that quote that he was lied to is now going everywhere. And Steve Soboroff must have got an earful from the mayor, because now he's walking it back saying to the Hollywood Reporter, if I said I was lied to, then I was wrong. That was a misstatement by me. There's no proof that the mayor deceived me on purpose. I was disappointed in what happened, but I'm choosing to stay on track to the end because I have to put the trains on the tracks.
And then they're going to get robbed like they did when Gascon was DA. Okay, you do realize what this means, Randy.
What's that?
He's a dead man walking. Because what he just did was similar to what the fire chief did when she acknowledged that the mayor cut the fire department's budget. When the fire chief went on TV and said that, that was contrary to what the mayor was saying. The mayor was claiming that there were no cuts to the fire department's budget at all, that anyone who was saying that was spreading fake news. And that was what the mayor's allies were saying. That's what her friends in the news media were saying. And that was the hymn book that they were all singing out of. When the fire chief went public and said, no, 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 the opposite is true, she did cut the budget, and she cut it by $17 million. The die was cast. Her days were numbered. It wasn't a matter of if she was going to get fired. It was a matter of when she was going to get fired. And then when everything went to hell in the recovery effort and the response to the fires, all of the heat was coming on the mayor. And the mayor is someone who has to win votes to keep her job, which means she can't be the fall man. So she had to find someone to blame, someone to be the fall man, someone to pin all of the negative attention to. And at that moment, because she was going to get rid of the fire chief anyway, the fire chief became a convenient target. So that's when the fire chief got fired, and the mayor attacked the fire chief and her leadership in the fire department before, during, and after the fires. Well, after she fired the fire chief, that didn't alleviate any of the pressure. In fact, the heat is still on the mayor. Every day there's new negative stories, including the one from a couple of days ago where she said it's going to take 5 years to rebuild the Pacific Palisades. No one wanted to hear that. That's not what she told the president when he was in town. She told him the opposite was true, that we were going to rebuild lickety-split. She also demanded an investigation as to why she went to Ghana. Well, if you want to investigate, call your travel agent because they have all the answers. But that's what she was doing.
The latest one on that is now she's claiming the National Weather Service never told me.
Oh, you got to be kidding. So now she's blaming Al Roker? Have you no shame?
This is the same National Weather Service that her social media accounts retweeted the day before the fire about the winds that she says she knew nothing about.
Okay, so if they put it out on social media and they put it out in a forum that was obvious to whoever it is that runs her social media accounts to the point to where her social media account retweeted it, what was the National Weather Service supposed to do? Put up smoke signals?
She says, we weren't invited to their briefing, so how was I supposed to know?
Oh, yeah. Well, your invitation got lost in the mail. Thank God the one from Ghana came through. But because the heat is still on her, firing the fire chief is not going to be good enough. Oh, no. She's going to need to find someone else to shove underneath the electric bus. And that person is going to be Steve Soboroff. Because let me tell you something I've learned about Karen Bass throughout this entire process. She goes through more fall guys than Drew Peterson goes through wives. And they all end up in the same place. He is not going to be long for the world. If that guy still has a job before his contract or lack of a contract is set to expire, I would be shocked. Not only is he going to be fired, but I think she's going to kick him in the crotch on his way out the door. She's going to try to damage his reputation. She's going to say that he is a liar, and she's going to say that he's bad at his job. And just in case you think there's a chance I'm going to be wrong, I want all of you to write down the date and the time that I said that, because Phillips is going to be right. This mayor cannot get out of her own way. You know, it was Harry Truman who said the buck stops here. He used to have that sign up on his desk. Karen Bass must just have a shirt that says, I'm was stupid. That's her version of Harry Truman. I'm with stupid. You want to blame someone for my failures? Blame stupid. Right to my right. And I got another one to my left. That's accountability.
In fact, Johnny, at the press conference where she fired Kristen Crowley, she was asked, doesn't the buck stop with you? Let's hear what she had to say.
Yes.
Your comments about not getting a phone call from Crowley, I think that for some people, they see you as the top of the food chain. You're in charge. You're supposed to be the one getting information from people, and you're not supposed to blame others. You're supposed to be responsible.
Let me just say that, yes, as the mayor of the city, the buck stops with me.
And here, let me explain why it doesn't.
Yeah. No, as the mayor of the city, I'm with stupid.
I am in charge. However, the person in charge of the fire department, as I mentioned before, whenever there was a fire emergency, a weather emergency, or a hint of a problem, I am contacted directly, and not just by Chief Crowley, but by any of the heads of the departments. As you know, we have over 40 departments.
Nobody called her.
Let me tell you something. When I used to do nights at KABC, and we had a contract with the Dodgers, and the Dodgers would be playing in a city where there was the threat of weather, I kept clicking refresh on my phone all day long to find out what the weather was like in Pittsburgh. Why did I do that? Is it because I particularly care about the weather in Pittsburgh? No. I don't care if it's rain or shine in Pittsburgh because I don't live there, so it doesn't impact me one way or the other. But if the game was going to be delayed, or the game was going to be canceled, or the game was going to be prolonged, I needed to know because I was responsible for doing a talk show in Los Angeles at night, and the weather would impact how long my show would be if I had a show to do at all. If I could figure that out and understand what my obligation was as a talk show host in Los Angeles, entertaining people while they sit in traffic, then she certainly could do the same thing as mayor of Los Angeles before she was about to get on a plane to go to Ghana for a party. She was also asked at that press conference about Steve Soboroff.
She was asked about Soboroff on the interview with Alex Michelson that aired on Friday, that Karen Bass thought, hey, if I fire Kristen Crowley Friday morning, then Alex's interview is not as newsworthy, right? Nope, it still was. Let's hear what Karen Bass had to say about the Soboroff controversy last week on The Issue Is.
The Steve Soboroff situation, you appointed him, somebody you've known and worked with for a long time, who's been very successful in a lot of situations. This report that he's going to get $500,000 from a series of nonprofits, and then that report becomes...
And apparently there were no nonprofits.
Oops.
A series of nonprofits, and then that report becomes public. And
she's doing that thing where she's verbally him.
Oh, that means she's upset.
A series of nonprofits, and then that report becomes public, and then apparently he's working for free. And people are like, what happened there?
You know what? First of all, I was very happy to ask Steve to come and participate. And let me just tell you, it took a lot of arm twisting to get him to come, which is why he agreed to come for 90 days.
For $500,000.
That you don't even have.
Who gets paid?
Maybe that's what the
$500,000
Angels should have done with Anthony Rendon.
His contributions to our city, building in Playa Vista, in the Staples Center, and the fact that he was from the Palisades. So I was very happy when
Soboroff was promised $41,000 a week.
Hey, that's good money if you can get it.
So I was very happy when he did reconsider and decided that he would be willing to do this for free.
When he doesn't sound like he agreed to it, he just knew that he was screwed.
I love that her definition of agreed to it was, yeah, we'll send some emails back and forth. I'll promise you a contract. I won't follow through, but you have to hold up your end of the bargain.
When you say it took a lot of arm twisting, he didn't really want to help?
Well, he
that sounds?
Well, he was involved in a lot of different projects.
Well, she couldn't go ask Rick Caruso. That would make her look weak.
Oh, she couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I was asking him to walk away from everything
Yeah.
and to come and to help his city. That was the arm twisting.
Got it. What has this experience taught you about leadership?
Nothing.
It has taught her that she should be in a different profession.
Well, it's taught me a lot about leadership in terms of the significance, how you present yourself, what people expect.
Turns out, when you screw up as a member of Congress, nobody pays attention. When you screw up as the mayor of L.A., everybody pays attention.
And their homes burned down.
Well, it's taught me a lot about leadership in terms of the significance, how you present yourself, what people expect from you. And that's very important. And it's important for me to demonstrate to Angelenos that I can lead. I can lead the recovery and the rebuilding.
Even she doesn't sound confident saying, I can lead.
Would you?
Opening up the centers, doing things faster than was expected, making sure that the permitting process goes smoothly, passing executive orders so that we can expedite things, so that people can return home as fast as possible.
And then, as you mentioned, Karen Bass drops that, speaking of when you get to return home, that might be in 5 years.
And what is as fast as possible? What's a realistic time frame for people to actually start rebuilding and actually get home?
Well, I'm hoping that the rebuilding and the planning process can actually start now. But that's going to be individuals. People are in a variety of different circumstances. We have seniors who might have paid off their mortgage years ago and are living on, fixed incomes. We have people that want to rebuild exactly as they built before. Other people who might want to make changes, which then the process would be a little longer for. So
Okay.
what I understand.
Just so you know, whenever someone is asked a direct question and the answer goes on forever and you get to the price of tea in China and it's very complicated, it's going to be a case-by-case basis and we can't really give you a number that's going to be accurate for every individual homeowner, that means the truth is something she doesn't want to reveal. Because the truth is embarrassing, and it is the exact opposite of what she promised the president.
Other people who might want to make changes, which then the process would be a little longer for. So what I understand is 3 years would probably be the fastest, but probably it would be more like 5. So it really depends on the individual circumstances.
That's also going to be 5 years that PCH is down to 1 lane.
Could you imagine living in Malibu and being totally isolated for that long?
So it really depends on the individual circumstances. And by the way, one of the things that I wanted to focus on that Soboroff will pay attention to is the non-residential part. So we thought that it would be helpful in the Palisades to rebuild that sense of community and to get the area.
He's getting paid $500,000 to plan a park?
Well, he's getting paid nothing, actually.
That's true.
And to get the area.
But she was going to pay him $500,000 to plan a park.
Well, in theory. What was she considering using? Monopoly money? Confederate money?
And to get the area where the playground, the rec center, the library, the Ralphs, the other commercial businesses up and running. So they're going through phase 1 and phase 2. And then after phase 2, when all of the debris has been removed, we want to put up temporary structures because there are still a lot of people who will continue to live in the Palisades whose houses were not damaged.
Right.
We want them to be able to have access to services, but we also want the community to be, for people to come back while they're rebuilding. Yesterday, Alex, I met with high school students, from the
Now Alex is doing the humming.
Yeah, because she's filibustering. He asked her a very simple question. Donald Trump, when he was in town, asked her the same very simple question, and the answer is going to be 5 years. But even she knows if she says it's going to be 5 years, and that's just the way it is, because that's how fast we move, the answer is going to be from the people of the Palisades. That is totally unacceptable, and it is the opposite of what you promised us.
Yeah, and when people hear 3 to 5 years, Governor Newsom was talking about the idea of a year.
I don't know about that,
Yeah.
but I think that what we can do in a year or maybe a little bit longer are the temporary structures that we would put in the commercial area.
We're going to put a porta potty on your land, and that'll count as a temporary structure. Thank you, Karen Bass.
Oh, yeah. Who can't wait to live in a container? You thought that the world was your oyster. You made good money. You bought a home in the Palisades right next to the ocean. You get that nice ocean breeze. And then a fire comes. There's no water to put out the fire because one city department forgot to tell the fire department that the reservoir was empty. Too bad, so sad. Now you're living in a container like you're someone being sex trafficked from a different continent. At this point, who does Karen Bass have credibility with? Who's looking at the news at night, hearing what she has to say? And, she lied to me 3, 4 times, 5 times the last couple of weeks, but, this time around, I believe her. I don't believe anything that comes out of her mouth. Randy, I don't even think she twisted Steve Soboroff's arm to get him to take that deal. At this point, I think she twisted his nipples.
No!
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Okay, I got 2 here. They're really good. Bill writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Karen Bass's I'm with stupid t-shirt has an up arrow on it.
No!
And Jeff writes in and says, Karen Bass should have a sign above her desk that says, the bus stops here, right where I throw you under it.
Oh, you're so optimistic.
Oh, she should have a merch store. And Randy, if you missed yesterday's episode and want to find out what you missed out on, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is go to kabc.com, click on podcasts, go to the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify, search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. You can do a Google on the YouTube or get that handy-dandy KABC app. Search KABC AM in the Apple App Store or the Android Store. It's the easiest way to listen live to this radio station. Download all the podcasts. Download yesterday's 12 o'clock hour where Ed Laskos told us
the fire chief fired.
In the meantime, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
Well, let's do that right now. 790 KABC welcomes Light Up the Blues, benefiting Autism Speaks, featuring legends like Stephen Stills, Neil Young, Billy Idol, Chris Stills, and a very special guest to be announced. I would like to point out whoever wrote this copy wrote guestist. It's going to be at the Greek Theater on April 26th. Tickets are on sale Friday at Ticketmaster.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-795-2222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Nederlander Concerts. Good luck dialing.
That copy's all Greek to me, Randy. As Randy mentioned before, former Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price is now a podcaster.
Quite frankly.
Let's find out what she's going to be talking about. Is this going to be one of those dude podcasts where they talk about bro issues? Is this going to be about entertainment news? Is this going to be about conspiracy theories? Or is it going to be about how many times she got bipped?
I've been bipped several times.
Well, there's definitely a market for that.
For more, here's KGO.
Recalled Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price is gearing up to enter a new phase in her professional life. Today, ABC 7 News reporter Luz Pena sat down with Price, who says she's ready to set the record straight with a direct line to Alameda County residents.
Who's going to listen to that?
It's going to be like the George Gascon TikTok videos that had 5 views and you were 4 of them.
From Alameda County District.
I mean, yeah, it's great for me. But no resident of LA County, including the 66% of voters that voted to dump her, give a crap about what she has to say at this point.
No, it's just going to be her settling scores.
From Alameda County District Attorney to podcast host.
Check out Pam.
Which, by the way, is a job you give yourself. This isn't like Amazon or one of the big podcasting outfits or even a big radio outfit contacted Pamela Price, said, we want to pay you to start a podcast. She's doing this on her own because she has no offers.
You know, I read somewhere that the Menendez brothers have their own podcast, too. Maybe there's an opportunity for cross-promotion.
From Alameda County District Attorney to podcast host.
Check out Pamela Price Unfiltered. I'm Pamela Price, your host, and that's where we get to correct the record. correct.
This is Price's.
You know, it's odd that she refers to herself as just Pamela Price, because when she was the district attorney of Alameda County, she wanted everyone in the office to refer to her as Madam District Attorney.
Even the janitors.
This is Price's new venture, just 3 months after being recalled by voters.
Folks urged me to be part of the community and have a voice.
What folks?
Yeah, I want names.
Tell me one person.
Who was beating on her door? Hey, Pamela, you know what the world really needs? A podcast from you.
Folks urged me to be part of the community and have a voice again.
Actually, what folks did is they voted you out of the community overwhelmingly.
It was a blowout.
I think it's really interesting how you just said to have a voice again. Yes. And the name of your podcast is Pamela Price Unfiltered. Yes. So what have you...
That means she's going to be dropping the Fs, the MFs, and all the other ones.
It's going to be filthy.
Yes. So what have you been holding back?
Oh, many things that...
Oh, boy. Here comes the score settling.
Even to do.
Oh, many things that I could not talk about while I was in the district attorney's office.
You remember some of the things that she was lobbying in the weeks up to the recall vote, including calling Congressman Eric Swalwell a corrupt racist for supporting the recall.
Oh, I hope she expands on that.
Oh, many things that I could not talk about while I was in the district attorney's office. I have a lot of opinions, have a lot of information about things that we weren't able to share. When you're in that kind of a position, there are so many things that the public doesn't know.
We sat down with Price to have an unfiltered...
Well, you can tell us right now you're unemployed. What's the dirt? Or are you saving it for those clicks? Because you want to make sure that you get those endorsement deals for penis pills like all the other podcasts.
She's going to break bad on everyone who wronged her. All the other elected officials, all the union heads, anyone who's anyone in Alameda County, she's going to trash them on this podcast.
We sat down with Price to have an unfiltered conversation about her take on becoming the first African-American woman to hold the county's top prosecutor job and then getting voted out.
And being replaced by another African-American woman who actually has some common sense and understands how this job works and is reversing every single one of her policies on day one.
Remember when she brought her own name up in the in memoriam segment at some local Democratic Party meeting?
That's right. Oh, I have to look that up.
What are some of your regrets?
That the voters decided to end my term prematurely. The way that government works, it takes time. And so we were not given enough time really to roll out all the things that we wanted to.
How many more bodies did you want?
I don't think the county could have survived any more time, lady.
Roll out all the things that we wanted to do. I wanted to do a lot more training with the lawyers. I think that they do need training on a lot of issues. I think that I wanted to fully finish setting up the Public Accountability Unit.
Price wanted to reform the county's justice system and was known for pursuing alternatives to mass incarceration.
How'd that work out?
She wanted to treat criminals like the victims and victims like the criminals.
Should we give a little recap of what happened during her tenure? This was also Shangy's tenure in Oakland when she was the DA.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here. Oh, my God. They melted the basketball court.
It's a lot of crime now.
That's your legacy.
Who else do we go call Superman?
Something she still believes in.
Do you think those progressive values, those progressive policies are now something that people in this county don't want?
I think that people want progressive policies because progressive policies...
You just got voted out 2-1.
Along with the mayor who supported many of your policies.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, Shangy. I'm still Googling her every day.
I know you are.
I think that people want progressive policies because progressive policies are about public safety.
No, they are actually not.
No, progressive policies result in shampoo being placed behind bulletproof glass at the Target.
And any Alameda County residents listening, any Oakland residents listening, just remember, this is the exact same crap that Barbara Lee is trying to sell in her bid to become the next mayor.
Quite frankly,
I was very surprised and pleased with our interview yesterday with Judge Brenda Harbin Forte, who was the leader of the Recall Shangtao movement, who does not want any part of Barbara Lee as mayor of Oakland because Barbara Lee supported the no position on the recall and also supports virtually all the same policies as Shangy.
I think people want a DA that cares about gun violence.
As to her new path, she is...
Yeah, but you wouldn't file gun enhancements.
We also just had an election and they voted against you. So don't act like this is some kind of jump ball. We had an election and we have results.
As to her new path, she is planning to put out a new episode each week.
I'm grateful to the people of Alabama.
Okay, let's get a timeline going. How long until she gives up on this venture?
I don't think she makes it beyond 8 episodes.
As many podcasts that are out there that are way more abandoned podcasts out there.
Well, you can add another one to the list.
To the people of Alameda County, and I owe them a great deal for my success.
You owe them an apology.
And they owe you some walking shoes because they just kicked you out of town.
For my success, and I want to share with them the things that I've learned along the journey.
In Oakland, Luz Peña, ABC 7 News.
Well, Johnny, will you be subscribing to Pamela Price Unfiltered?
No. No, I won't. Here with some fresh Barbara Lee sound, Mr. Randy Wang.
So Barbara Lee was at a small town hall event in Oakland as she is running for mayor of Oakland, and she was asked by somebody who goes on Twitter as East Oakland Dad a question about the fact that she went against the recall of Shangtao, openly said vote no on the recall. Does she still say no on recalls in the light of Shangtao's corruption and indictment?
Good evening. I'm wondering about the recall. Oakland voters, the majority of Oakland voters, decided to recall.
The vast majority of Oakland voters.
Again, wasn't close.
Absolutely.
Decided to recall our mayor, who has some pretty alarming allegations. Some people are wondering, do you still feel like recalls are undemocratic?
Which is such a funny argument to make because it's in the California Constitution.
We have direct democracy in California. The initiative, the referendum, and the recall. And we have it for a reason.
Yeah, look, I oppose the recall, and everyone has their points of views about how elections should work. Money in politics is one factor, and I know how the money works in politics.
Yes, you had to give back some dong money, too.
You and the Attorney General.
Barbara Lee has gotten over $60,000 from the dong since 2008.
It's a lot of money.
And the people spoke. Voters voted to recall the mayor and the district attorney. And
you think Barbara Lee's going to listen to that podcast?
No.
And so I'm moving forward.
You think Barbara Lee knows how to operate a podcast?
No.
And so I'm moving forward, but I have historically opposed recalls. And people have a right to vote yes or no. They voted yes, recall, and people have that right, and so now we have to move forward.
You know, it's a fairly short campaign for this special election in April. She sounds completely checked out.
She is. She thinks she's going to waltz right into this job, and she may be right. She's been a longtime elected official in Oakland as congresswoman, as state senator, as state assemblywoman. So she may be correct in her assessment that this is over before it started. But wouldn't you want to just show a little bit of passion, that you're out there fighting for votes, that you have ideas as to what you can do to improve the city's condition? but she's just going through the motions.
You know, I saw a interview with a bunch of local Oakland residents that aren't super tuned into the news, and they were asked what they thought about the mayor's race, and they thought Barbara Lee was still in Congress, and this is a different Barbara Lee running for mayor, and they don't know who she is.
Well, Americans aren't known for following politics that closely.